Double K.
That's me.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. And I know a lot of people are watching this right now and they're thinking, oh my gosh, it's another wrestling show where the fan is wearing a Bullet Club shirt.
Well, I got
so cool. Hey, look at that. I got that shirt. Well, I'll tell you, two things about your assessment of me thinking I'm super cool. First of all, you're right. I think I look pretty cool in this shirt. But second of all, Hot Topic had all T-shirts for $10 on Black Friday.
I heard about that.
I got this for $10.
Bullet Club shirt for $10. I'm surprised you didn't go with like the young bucks or the.
I mean, that was there. I did the whole. I bought it and they were like, "Do you want to get two more and get a $15 coupon?" I was like, "I can't do it. I can't just shilling out money for this stuff."
Guys, we want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us in the chat room right now. The question that we are posing to you guys is, what is your favorite Starrcade memory? Starrcade just recently came back to the WWE over the weekend in North Carolina. It was at a house show. So we want to know your favorite Starrcade memory. But before we get into that, we do have a couple things to tell you about. We have the Super Chat feature. Hit that Super Chat feature. It helps support the show. We also have a T-shirt store, because Kevin got his shirt at Hot Topic. You don't have to travel to get your shirts. You can get yours at TeePublic. We have a T-shirt store at TeePublic. That was where you can get our merchandise. You know what? We're gonna come up with our own Bullet Club shirt. Actually,
I made my own little mockery of it because I'm a big Doctor Who guy and a pro wrestling guy. So I made a Galley Club shirt.
Galley Club. We are coming up with a Bullet Club design. So that'll be coming out soon. That's not our.
Mine's only $14 till the end of the night.
Is it really?
Search for Galley Club on TeePublic. It'll be great.
That last link that I just put in there, by the way, it wasn't the TeePublic store. That was an article to that hashtag show. But I'm currently going to put
Jalen Glover passed his written test for driving school today.
Congratulations!
Great job.
There it is. That's the TeePublic thing. We also have a Facebook group called THS Hashtaggers. A lot of you guys are already in there, but we want to see more of you guys in there. Ryan posts in there all the time. This also keeps you up to date with everything trending in geek pop culture. We get a lot of information through you guys, but also we do our own. Take a shot. How is the 6 Hyperforce Ranger Joe? I'm doing great so far. Take a swig of your water. So the thing I just posted was the THS Hashtaggers group. Join that group. It'll tell you when we're about to stream. So after our stream tonight, after you get done talking wrestling with us, you can go over and for all you gamers out there, go and enjoy Kelly's Twitch stream. She's going to be twitching on our Twitch channel. I think she's playing Fallout. So go check that out. That comes on right after our show at 8:30 on Twitch. We'll put a link in the chat later on. But back to Starrcade. Craig Anderson said he's never seen Starrcade, and he was very upset when he found out it was a house show instead of a pay-per-view. What were your thoughts on that, actually?
I mean, I just wanted to see it. I really wanted to see it, and they put a couple of clips on the YouTube for us, and it was, I mean, come on, Double A's Spine Buster on Dolph Ziggler.
You know, the one thing I love about Starrcade, especially like, I don't know. You ever watch the network and you get this sense of nostalgia that you just want to watch? Like, okay, sometimes I hear JR's podcast, sometimes I hear these guys talking about the old days, and you want to get that sense of that it's almost like this gritty, old school kind of like these wrestling matches. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think Starrcade rings that memory true for me, because that was the NWA, which later turned into WCW's biggest event, right? And
it's their WrestleMania.
It's their WrestleMania, and we've also had so many memories from it that we'll talk about. But like I said, we would like you guys to let us know what your favorite Starrcade memory is.
Ryan points out that Kelly is going to be playing Titanfall.
Isn't that what I said? What did I say? Fallout? I said Fallout. Titanfall. Yeah, she's going to be playing Titanfall.
There's fall in both of those, so yeah. You're all right.
I was all right. So we have that coming up. We got some wrestling news, so we can kick this off a little bit with some wrestling news. But before we get into that, actually, what's grinding your gears? What's grinding your gears?
Because the whole grinding, and I brought this up to our producer. I was like, listen, I want to talk about something every week that really pisses me off. but it won't necessarily have anything to do with wrestling. So maybe we should save it to the end, because it's not really wrestling related.
We'll get into what's grinding Kevin's gears a little bit later on.
But I'm going to bring it promo style.
Because if you guys remember last time Kevin was on the show, it started a hashtag, fuck the fuck, was the hashtag going around.
It was probably fuck the fuck off.
Yeah, there you go. So let's get into some news before we get into any of the shows. I mean, the shows we can kind of glaze over, but we're a wrestling show. We want to talk about the latest trending topics in the wrestling world, and we're going to kick it off with with WWE Hall of Famer, former WWE champion and world champion Edge. He recently said you can only be a top wrestling star by being close with Vince McMahon. What do you think about that?
I mean, as much as a lot of us would probably want to say, "Oh, you got to be his buddy. You've got to be his buddy." That's like with any company.
It's true.
When you're the champion, when you're a top star, that's the company investing in you. They need to know about you and need to know what exactly you're made of. So it makes sense to me. You want to be friends with the boss. You want to be.
I just recently saw a documentary, an old documentary that I like watching from time to time. It was about Kobe Bryant. And of course, if you're a top guy, same thing with Michael Jordan. If you're a top guy, Tom Brady, you got to be taken care of. You got to know the system. You got to be in close with the higher ups. That's how. I don't want to say that's how you get ahead, but that's how you're looked out after. I think that it makes the most sense. What Edge is saying is almost. I don't want to say it's a pretty obvious. I mean, for a lot of other people, that would be kind of like, oh, that's taboo. But it's pretty obvious, especially in the WWE.
And I think it's not even just as much you got to be buddy-buddy with them. I think it's more like if you have an idea, you go to your boss and say, I think this would be really good. Maybe if we went in this direction. And if your boss likes your ideas, he's going to be, yeah, that's a great idea,
but
Kevin.
In the WWE, that has bitten them in the ass before, where John Cena was wrestling against the Nexus, and he wanted to be Super Cena, and that really hurt those other guys on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, John was the biggest thing in the company. He kind of almost still is, I guess. And that, I think he was placated. They said, okay, you can beat everybody you want. And he was like, great. And then he did it, and he was like, oh, man, now all those guys are looked at as losers.
You know, and it's crazy, too, because especially, can you only imagine how great... what the trajectory of Wade Barrett would have been at this point now? You ever think about that?
I do. I really liked...
I loved Wade Barrett. Yeah. I thought he was such a standout. When he was on NXT and he cut a promo about wind, I was like, this guy has it. And that was the NXT before it was NXT the way it is now. It was NXT when it was a reality competition type show.
And it was really bad.
It was terrible.
It was really bad with that stuff. But that cutting a promo on wind, that reminds me... Like, do you remember when Eric Bischoff had his interview, his audition decades ago to be announcer in WWE?
Vaguely.
Do you remember what they had him do?
No.
They grabbed a broom and they said, "Sell us this broom." And the idea is you want to see what can come out of your performer. So, I mean, they brought out the broom and he was like, "Well, this broom is made of the best wood and blah 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 blah, and it gets the cleanest, and that's why you should get this broom." They were looking for, "Look at this broom! It's going to make your place so clean. You're going to love every bit of it." And, you know, it's not about selling the broom. It's about selling you.
Yeah, that makes tons of sense. But I feel like back then there was a lot of guys, I don't want to say Cena buried. Hey, there's still that Alex Riley rumor that's like hanging over everybody's head, which I'm taking this back a second. I'm a little surprised that when Roman and Cena were doing these shoot-style worked promos, that in person, because I know Roman Reigns brought it up when Cena wasn't there, but I'm surprised he didn't hit him with that when he was there, because I almost felt like that was kind of like a little too taboo. You know what I mean? He brought up the fact that Cena used his stroke to get rid of Riley, right? Right. And he was, and he wasn't there, and Cena couldn't defend himself, so we don't know. Let's branch out even a little more from Riley, because you've seen Glow, of course. Yeah, and I haven't seen Glow. You never saw Glow? No. Get the heck out of here, man. It's on my to-do list. It's really, really good. Alex Riley has a small part in there. And I guess I saw, all this, anytime I say I heard, it's I read online. But, I mean, he beat out Jericho and The Miz for that part in Glow, which is pretty impressive. That is pretty impressive. Craig Anderson says, a list of superstars that have been buried by John Cena. Bray Wyatt, Ryback, The Miz, Roman Reigns, not complaining, The Nexus, Rusev, etc., etc. Would you agree with that list? I mean, I'm looking at that list and I'm seeing people that he needed to beat.
I don't think he needed to beat Bray Wyatt.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think Ryback deserved to beat him.
No.
Sorry, Ryback.
I agree with that.
The Miz.
The Miz can hold his own, especially now. I'm so happy with The Miz right now this second.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns, I know he's still the company's machine guy.
Yeah, it's tough to say Roman's been buried when he's shoved down our throats.
And he did get his win. Roman did get his win at that pay-per-view match against John.
That's right.
All right, let's move on to our next topic of the day. We're going to be talking about, you know what, somebody had mentioned it in here. It's not even on our list, but, well, we can talk about that when we get to Raw. Let's talk about the Cody Rhodes. Let's talk about Cody Rhodes and his dream match, what he wants to do for a dream match. Now, Cody Rhodes, earlier this week, they're going to be doing a pay-per-view called All In, and they self-financed 10,000 seats with the Young Bucks because Dave Meltzer said that they couldn't sell out certain places. So he's like, I
think that's really how it started, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a Twitter thing. One guy tweeted it. One guy asked him, "Do you think that that they can sell this out?" Dave Meltzer said, "Do you think they can sell out Madison Square Garden or venues like that?" They said, "Unfortunately, no. Right now." Dave Meltzer responded, "Unfortunately, no. Right now, that they can't do that, but maybe in a few years." Cody Rhodes responded back that, "Give me 3 months." And I'll self-finance it. We'll sell a $10,000 house. And it looks like it's called All In. It's financed by, it seems like Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. And it seems like they're going to do it. Or they're going to try to do it.
Is it going to be in 3 months? I thought it was sometime in 2018.
He wants 3 months for promotion. 3 months minimum for a promotion. And he was like, a challenge accepted. It was like more like a bet.
I saw a number of the places that they were looking at doing this. And one of them
is Ontario, California.
Which is such a weird place to do.
Yeah, it makes a little sense to me because the venue there, I think WWE runs that show for Smackdown a lot.
Yep.
So, and that is also where the Bullet Club invasion happened.
Yes.
So, who knows? Now,
so I guess it depends on when it happens in 2018. Because first of all, I'm there. I love these guys. I want to support these guys, whatever they do. But can they do a 10,000 seat arena? And it really depends on when it is. Because I think if they asked CM Punk to do it, I think he'd do it.
No way. I don't think CM Punk would do it. You
would? I think he would.
Just to
not even as an FU to WWE or anything. I think because I know he likes the Young Bucks, and I think he'd do it.
You know, that's interesting. But would the UFC let him do it? Is a bigger question.
I don't know. He's doing a whole lot of stuff there now.
Yeah, right. Well, in the course of all this happening, we already know that Daniel Bryan's contract is coming up, and Cody Rhodes did say that he wants to wrestle Daniel Bryan. That is his dream opponent.
That's another one that would make that a 10,000 seat arena dream come true.
I think you wouldn't need that much to get it to 10,000 seats. I feel like Cody Rhodes is on top of his game. The Young Bucks are already there. I believe this is going to be a Ring of Honor show. Even if this coincides, if let's just say it happens to coincide with when New Japan comes out here and they get some of those guys like Okada and Kenny Omega, they have a really good chance. I mean, it's gonna sell out. I mean, look, New Japan did it at Long Beach. They sold out that venue.
How big is that venue?
How big is that venue? It's like I think it was like 8,000 seats. No, 4,000. But they sold it out in the matter of 30 seconds. So just opening it up for a bigger audience, I think that they know what they were going to do. I would love to see Cody Rhodes and Daniel Bryan. And let me get your opinion on this. You're familiar with the different styles of wrestling. How do you, when you are a WWE, I don't want to say that you can't have good matches because obviously you can, but you can't. If you're a fan of New Japan, going to watch WWE is a completely different experience.
Sure.
It's almost like reading. You can love the Avengers and read the comic book The Avengers, but going to read like The Walking Dead is completely different, even though they're both comic books. So, in your style of wrestling, what do you favor? I mean, you're wearing a Bullet Club shirt, obviously, but
I mean, it depends on my mood. It's kind of like watching a wrestling show in general. It's like when you watch Raw. It's like, man, I don't like this wrestler, but in 5 minutes, you got a whole new story coming up. There are times that I really love the hard hitting, boom, 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 holy crap, and there's the high flying. I can't be defined by one.
See, so
Singulars.
as I've gotten older, as I've gotten older, I've really moved towards the strong style, New Japan style. I don't necessarily need the storyline, even though they have that little storyline here and there, but it's more built on rivalries than it really is on like, I'm gonna attack you from behind and like do this thing and then hit you with a dump truck or whatever it may be. So watching a guy like Okada, I just watched Okada against Suzuki today.
I'm just smiling because I know how much you love talking about Okada.
I think Okada's the best. I think he is the best wrestler in the world right now. But I just watched him against Suzuki today, and it was for the Grand Prix Cup or whatever it is. They had their last match, and it went to a 30-minute draw, and it was one of the best matches I think I've seen in recent memory. And I love those Kenny Omega matches, but so many people hype those up so high that it's so hard to live up to.
And when Meltzer gets a 7-star, it's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, but granted, I'll be honest with you though. Right now, is that when Kevin Owens first debuted and he wrestled John Cena for that program, they had outstanding matches.
Yes,
and honestly, tonight Smackdown, Kevin Owens wrestled against Randy Orton. Entertaining match for a TV match. Kevin Owens put in work. I mean, Randy Orton's still a little boring to me, but Kevin Owens working his ass off out there. Now, what's your dream match that you want to see Cody Rhodes? Who do you want to see Cody Rhodes against in this All-In pay-per-view?
I'll tell you this. I think Cody Rhodes is fine. I think he's developing his character. I think his matches are good. I don't think his matches are great. What's his best match the last year?
I would probably say Jay Lethal or Kurt Angle.
And those were phenomenal in your eyes?
I think they're pretty good. Jay Lethal especially. Jay Lethal was really good. You know what? I take it back. Okada. His match in Long Beach with Okada.
Take a drink.
It was good. His match in Long Beach was great with Okada. That's where Kenny Omega was.
Who do I want Cody Rhodes to wrestle? What are the options here? Who's out there? I mean, it's not going to be the WWE guy.
Well, you could get Daniel Bryan if his contract does come up around that time.
I think Daniel Bryan. I think WWE is going to figure out that they don't want Daniel. Back? I don't think they want him wrestling anywhere else.
But then, do you think they're going to let him wrestle then?
I do.
Interesting. Do you think they're building his program up with Shane McMahon?
No. I think they'll wait until the very last minute because I don't think they're going to. They don't want him to wrestle, and they're going to wait until the last minute and be like, fine.
All right. So but you don't know necessarily who you think you want him to see him against.
Cody or Daniel?
Cody. Because Kenny Omega would be great.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Like the little Bullet Club faction thing. Yeah, I'd like to see that. Kenny Omega is a good choice. All right, let's move on to our next story. Now, we're going to take it back. We're going to throw this back a little bit to the past, the Attitude Era. Let's talk about Ken Shamrock.
Let's.
Ken Shamrock revealed the one condition he'd return to the WWE. Let's be real. He'd return under a lot of conditions. But we'll make this a short story. Ken Shamrock recently just said he would return to work a program with a few certain guys. One of those guys being Kurt Angle for an ankle lock match. Another one of those guys was The Rock, because he says The Rock ran away from him. And another one was Lesnar, Brock Lesnar, because who's the toughest MMA WWE crossover wrestler? Any interest in seeing Ken Shamrock back?
Here's the thing. I think Ken Shamrock seems like a nice guy. Nobody is clamoring to see him back in WWE, and I like being mean. I don't think Ken deserves me being mean to him, but I just gotta say I don't think anybody needs it.
Yeah, I think his window's gone.
My biggest Ken Shamrock memory is getting bashed in the face
with a chair
by The Rock.
Yeah,
I just remember watching that, going, "Oh my God,
that was great."
It was intense.
Okay, let's move on. Let's see. Let's do the. I think we already covered this. The Bullet Club putting on a wrestling event. That's the All Out thing. We can talk about. You know what? Let's talk about Starrcade.
Let's do it.
Starrcade. Michael Hayes says he gives a reason why Starrcade happened. What that reason is? Do you know what that reason was?
What did he say? What did he say? Why did he say it happened?
He says, with an eye on paying tribute to the names that were important to us making during the marketing during the Jim Crow promotion era, and with throwback graphics for the show, he pretty much just said that it's paying homage to the history of Starrcade.
It was his idea.
It was his idea. Oh, it was actually Dusty Rhodes' idea.
Well,
so they're
but
paying homage to
it was
Dusty.
Michael's idea to do. Hey, let's do Starrcade now.
When he saw the calendar and saw, hey, it's
Yeah, he saw the count. Yeah, it was the dates, but I think it was more so the real crux of this story is, yes, it was Michael Hayes' idea, but it was really to pay homage to Dusty Rhodes. Anybody that knows anything that happened on that show, there was a lot of tributes there. Dustin wrestled as the natural Dustin Rhodes on that show.
He came out as Goldust and then took the stuff out.
Which I thought was brilliant.
And they played the natural music, which reminded me of the WCW music, which was something else. They call him the Natural.
Starrcade.
I want to go. No, I'm not done with the music.
Oh, yeah.
Sting. My favorite line from any professional wrestler's entrance music. He does this. He does that. Inspiring. Inspiring. I don't watch that guy wrestle. Please continue.
There was a great story that Sting tells one day about how WWE and WCW were both at a convention together. And WWE had their own private security. They knew exactly where they were going. They knew exactly what they were doing. And Sting had one guy with him that was from the convention and had no idea what was going on. He's like, man, that's crazy.
It's so bad.
It is. But once you got to think in the mid to late 90s, when you look at the two companies, as a general fan, you don't really see much of a difference because they are competing head to head, and one does have Ted Turner's money. But then when you take a step back and you really see the operation that WWE has compared, they know what they're doing. They know the Vince McMahon has been doing this for a very long time, and he has a system. Like, even the way that he communicates with his wrestlers is just different level. He has this kind of personality. But talking about Starrcade, what is your favorite Starrcade memory?
It's weird because Starrcade.
Thomas Franco, we'll get to that broken question real quick. That is a part of our Raw wrap up.
Yes. Matt Hardy.
What up, Primetime?
With Starrcade, obviously you go with the older ones, the early 80s, and you have matches with Ric Flair and Harley Race and Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff, and you've got stuff that was built so well and such a satisfying finish for most of the time.
Right.
And then as we go on to the 90s, and we've got Starrcade, Hulk Hogan defending the championship against the Butcher. And it's really hard for me to mock
you never
that.
wanted to see the Brutus the Barber Beefcake Hulk Hogan dream match?
As you may recall, that guy was my hero for years when I was a kid. And even in 95, I think it was, when I'm watching that, I'm just going, man, this is no good. This is low. This is low. And then, before that, let's even go before that, when maybe it started to take a little turn, was the steel cage match between Sting and the Black Scorpion.
Well, listen, the early 90s WCW wasn't great. There was a few gems there because I was a fan of early 90s. I love the Dangerous Alliance.
Yeah, man.
So we got Stunning Steve Austin and Paul Orndorff. No, it wasn't Paul Orndorff. It was Arn Anderson and
Rick Rude,
Larry Zbyszko.
Yep.
I loved that stable. I thought those guys were great. I also liked their opposition when it was Ricky Steamboat and like Dustin Rhodes and Sting and the Road Warriors. But there was a lot of missteps.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite memory, I have two, and none of my favorite memories are really glaring, like they're really great memories. One of them is when Bret Hart was finally in WCW.
This was my third thing.
Yeah, and he messed up he didn't mess up the count. The Nick Patrick, the referee, that moron, either messed up the count.
No, man. You know what happened here.
Yeah.
Here's the story. The story is
Hogan didn't want to lose.
Yes, it's like the finish was supposed to go down. Hogan gets taken out by a fast count. No, Sting gets taken out by a fast count after Hogan pins him. And so the referee was going to be like, do. So Bret Hart was going to come down and say, hey, that was a fast count. Restart this match. So they do the match. Hogan gives the leg drop to Sting. 1, 2, 3. Nice, calm, even thing. And then Bret comes out and looks like an idiot and says, that was a fast count. Restart this. Which should have been a real indication to Bret how this time in WCW was going to go.
Yeah, it was all down
over. And it was totally, in my humble opinion, it was Hulk Hogan saying, hey, Nick Patrick, referee, I want to look good here. So what can we do? Do it. And Patrick, did it.
So let me ask you this. Speaking of which, Bret Hart was my favorite wrestler of all time. How would you have booked Bret Hart in WCW?
It's tough to say because Brett was asked that, and he said right away, put me and Hogan. But I mean, you do that, and you lose all the build for Hogan and Sting.
Right.
I think maybe he shows up at Starrcade. Maybe even does the whole earlier in the night stuff. He was the special referee in some other match.
And he was Larry Zabisco against Eric Bischoff.
That's right. I think you have Sting beat Hogan.
5-star. It was a Meltzer 5-star classic, I think.
I'm sure, yes. I think you still have him go for Hogan, but after the Sting thing is over.
So one of the ways that I was thinking about it is, like, his name was the Hitman, right?
Sure.
Have him take out each member of the NWO one by one. But his stipulation would have been if he beats them, they have to leave the NWO until he gets to Hogan. And then,
I think that's great. I love it.
But let's put me back in time and book WCW. But I don't know. That was one. The other one, I was a big Bret Hart guy. So the other one that was unfortunately a big Starrcade memory is when he beat Goldberg, but it was under shenanigans as well. But also the real cause that Bret Hart had to end his career early, which is so unfortunate because that was during a time with I think it was Vince Russo running the show, and they had the NWO Silver and Black. And I was really curious about this storyline because I actually liked all the guys that were in that NWO, like Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner, Jeff Jarrett, and Bret Hart. I thought that was like a pretty legit group of guys, but got cut short.
But they named it NWO 2000.
2000,
which is,
NWO,
if you ever want a gimmick to fail, either put a year next to it or put the word new in front of it. Instant failure.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, it was that match with Goldberg where Goldberg
kicked him in the head, and then it was really unfortunate way to me. That was the end of Starrcade. That Starrcade was over at that point. I don't even know if there was a Starrcade after. I guess there may have been.
I think the last one was
Booker
Scott
T?
Steiner and
Booker T?
Sid.
Oh, was it where Sid gets that nasty break?
Booker T was the last pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But the last Starrcade I think was Sid and Steiner.
That's sad. It's such an unfortunate turn of events. However, back to this new Starrcade. I honestly don't know why they just don't make it an actual pay-per-view.
Well, it looks like, I mean, the rumblings are it did very well, and it's going to happen again. It'll happen next year, and yeah, they got to put it on. I mean, see the Rock and Roll Express, even twerking with the New Day. It's like, all right, they're having fun. And
also, I mean, what better of a way for them to do a thing? A Charlotte Flair in a cage match? Of course, you want to see that. And then you got I don't want to say he's the modern day Ric Flair, the modern day Shawn Michaels. He's AJ Styles. He's probably the best worker in wrestling today to be defending a title on a pay-per-view like that. I think.
And Arn Anderson gave a spine buster to Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Exactly. I mean, I personally think I've always wanted two WCW pay-per-views back. One being Starrcade, the other one being Halloween Havoc. Oh no, I'm sorry, Fall Brawl with War Games, but I think they should just do that in.
What about Uncensored?
No, I'm good with the Uncensored.
They
did bring back the Great American Bash for a while.
I remember the first Uncensored WCW put on. No rules, this, that, and the other thing. Disqualification. Somebody won by disqualification.
Yeah, I remember that. That was bad. Bad news. Okay, let's move on to our, I think this might be our final topic for news this week. We got Ruby Rose with a slight name change. Sure. Ruby Riott. Sorry, I said Ruby Rose. Who's Ruby Rose? She's like a rapper, I think. I don't know who Ruby Rose is. But Ruby Riott from NXT, who's now in the WWE on Smackdown. Slight name change by adding that extra T. Not a big story today, but we can tie this into talking about Smackdown a little bit.
Because her group is called the Riott Squad.
The Riott Squad.
The Riott Squad.
Yeah. What do you think about Ruby Riott and her fellow Riott Squad members?
I mean, it would have so much of a better impact if they didn't just do it on Monday. 3 new women from NXT come in and beat up some good girl wrestlers back to back.
Now, there's rumors going around from the WWE locker room that a lot of the current established divas. No, I shouldn't say divas. They're not divas anymore.
Not anymore.
Current established female wrestlers, female superstars, are a little worried because we have 6 new females.
They should be.
Do you think that that's the case, or do you think they're setting up for a female Royal Rumble?
I think that'd be fun, but that's even only going to be one night. You got to. I mean, the rest of this stuff is year round, and there's more talent coming in. There's more competition, and there's more people edging for that top spot.
But if they give the ladies a show kind of like 205 Live, But then that would kind of, you couldn't really do that with SmackDown and Raw. See, my original inception of this draft that happened back I think a couple Julys ago, I thought that one brand was going to take the cruiserweights and the other brand was going to take the women.
I don't think either of those should be exclusive to either brand, but the cruiserweights are. The cruiserweights aren't on SmackDown. Right?
No. However, they do their show, 205 Live, on the SmackDown show.
This is interesting. Hell of a Ranger in a Cell No Mercy says women's tag team title, and I think he's onto something there.
I would really love to see that women's tag team tournament.
I'm assuming Hell of a Ranger in a Cell No Mercy is a man. I'm sorry if you're a lady.
Yeah, that would be great. A women's tag team title would be, or even a secondary title.
I don't think you go for a secondary title.
You don't think so?
I think you can do a tag title.
Tag title would be great. Yeah, because now, NXT doesn't even have a secondary title. Is their secondary title the UK Championship?
You could kind of say that, yeah, I guess.
So that's interesting. But we do have now an influx of 6 new women in the WWE, 3 on Raw, 3 on SmackDown, with the addition, well, I guess 2 of them wouldn't be new. Paige is back, so.
And the ones on SmackDown, there's Ruby Riott, and then 2 women that I don't really even recognize. Mandy's on Raw.
Mandy's on Raw.
Who are the other 2?
It's 2 women I also don't recognize.
Junior?
Is it Liv? Isn't it Liv Morgan? Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan.
Well done.
Yeah. Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. That was from Craig Anderson. It says they're not ready for the main roster.
Oh, thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Craig. Let me ask you this. Who has the better talent pool of women wrestlers?
Raw versus SmackDown?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy.
I mean, it's Raw, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sasha Banks, you got Asuka, and just Sasha Banks, Asuka, and...
Asuka counts for 3.
Yeah. Well, and Alexa Bliss and Bayley, they're all very, very good. I mean, really on SmackDown, Trinity, what's her name? Trinity. Naomi's really athletic, but Charlotte Flair's really the only one carrying that ship, I feel like.
And obviously Natalia's good.
Natalia's good. Natalia's very good.
I think the new blood will help if they're any good. I hope they're good. I like Ruby Riott. That's for sure.
All right, now let's...
Riott.
Carmella. You don't like Carmella? When's she going to cash in that Money in the Bank?
I don't know how she is a wrestler.
The Princess of Staten Island? Yeah. You're not a fan? I love looking at her. She's a beautiful lady.
I don't even think she... Well, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. We're not that kind of show.
We're not that kind of show. She didn't... I hope she doesn't win the title because she doesn't deserve it. I mean, realistically, she needed a couple more years in NXT to really get that call up. I don't know why Asuka didn't come to SmackDown, to be honest with you, because maybe she would have buzzsawed through that roster, but I feel that there's more dream matches on Raw, so they could have held off on those a little bit longer. I guess the real big dream match could be Asuka and Charlotte, so maybe that's what they're going to aim for later on down the line. But then there's that rumor going around right now, I don't know if you've heard this, about Ronda Rousey. If they do a female Royal Rumble, that Ronda Rousey would enter, win it, challenge Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
I don't think they're doing a Women's Royal Rumble anytime soon.
I think it's going to happen.
I think it'd be fun to see. I think my feeling is, and stuff that I read online, is that WrestleMania is horsewomen versus horsewomen.
Are you a football fan?
No.
All right. I was going to ask you a question that Hell of a Ranger wants to know. What do you think is going to happen first? The Cleveland Browns win 5 games in a season, or Asuka losing a match? Cleveland Browns winning 5 games seems very unlikely, so maybe Asuka losing a match. Okay, let's cut over and talk about Raw. Now, what were some of the big takeaways from Raw?
Here are my takeaways, and I remember on a couple of Sundays ago after Survivor Series, and I said I try to watch this as a fan, and I try not to be too critical. I'm throwing that all away.
Yeah, you gotta be critical.
I'm 43 years old, and this is through my eyes, and I'm old and grumpy, and I don't like some things that I see. The crowd chanted, "You deserve it," to Roman winning the Intercontinental title.
He deserved it. He didn't deserve it.
Okay, so Miz
I feel that Roman, doesn't he seem weird with that title? Like, it seems like such a weird, awkward choice.
First of all, wear your belt. Wear it around your waist.
I do like that one time Mick Foley came out and put the belt on his shoulder. Remember it? Because he was holding it backwards and he just took the belt and put it on his shoulder.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it was great. He totally corrected him. And it's true. You know who he reminds me of as a champion? The way that they is Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash used to almost just drag his belt around.
I thought I was all right with Kevin Nash holding it like that.
No.
But yeah, in general, yes, wear the belt. Roman has not earned that right, in my mind. Listen to me, I'm such a jerk. But
he does have good matches, though.
So, all right, yes. Better matches than Kevin Nash. I'll even say that.
Yes.
But okay, so Miz is leaving to do a movie.
Yes.
You got to lose the Intercontinental title. The title's got to go to someone while he's gone. And why don't you do it to somebody
like Finn Balor?
Yeah, I mean,
he's a workhorse. That's the workhorse title. Give it to somebody that is a workhorse. Not saying that Roman isn't, but
he's not.
But Finn Balor's just not over, says Vince McMahon. Says Vince McMahon. That was his words, not mine.
Okay, well, let's go to the main event. Let's jump to the main event of Raw, and we'll go back to a couple other things. But so in Raw, the main event, Finn Balor is facing Kane. Beast of a man he is, and he's losing.
That wasn't the main event, was it? Yeah, it was the main event.
And so Kane's got a chair, beating up Finn Balor a little bit. Puts Finn Balor's head in the chair there. He's like he was going to Pillmanize him.
Yeah.
And he goes to the rope, top rope or second rope, and Michael Cole says of Finn Balor, "Won't somebody help this poor man?" And there are two ways to look at that. And the first, I believe what is happening here is Vince is pissed off at Finn Balor for mock tweeting about not being over.
Really?
That's what I think. But regardless, I believe Vince made that call to make Finn look as weak as possible. And it's extremely petty of Vince. But that's what Vince is. As much as I fucking love the guy, he is a petty bastard. And if it wasn't intentional, then Michael Cole should be fired for making Finn Balor look as weak as... Won't somebody help that poor man? Unacceptable.
I think there's a couple ways to look at this. Number one, you're right. Vince McMahon is petty like this, and this kind of thing would happen. And we all know that he feeds announcers' lines. So I think it was probably a call of his.
If somebody said that about Roman, if Michael said that about Roman,
oh, you'd never hear that.
You would never hear that.
It would never come out of, or John Cena. You'd never hear that from those guys. Never.
Right.
I think you're right. This has a lot. But what was the turning point? Do you think that Vince really thinks that he's not over, or do you think, because a lot of people speculate this is blowback from him doing the Too Sweet with AJ Styles?
It can't be. Can it?
I mean, listen. I think Vince McMahon's probably done more for less, right? So I don't know. Can it be? Can it really be? I mean, Vince. Here's another thing too. Why have the Balor Club, but he's the only dude in the club? I never really got that either.
No, the WWE Universe is the rest of his club.
It's not. They're not in a club. They don't wear cool. They don't wear a cool jacket with
that's what they mean.
Well, obviously
they
they're
sell
not.
it.
Obviously,
I almost bought it.
Obviously, they're not in his club because he doesn't. He's not over enough to have a club. But
yeah, I mean, they went straight from him having that amazing match with AJ Styles, where he beat AJ Styles, and the next night he got creamed by Kane.
And the worst part about that is it seems like it's serving a purpose just to put Strowman over. Now, I understand why they're doing that.
Finally, someone can come and who can handle this beast Kane.
Balor.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I just don't feel like Finn Balor was the right choice for that. I mean,
no.
Let's be honest. There's another.
I think Finn was chosen to say, "Hey, Finn, I'm the boss."
Yeah, it's possible. Do you also think that that's a reason why AJ isn't punished, though, for some of those things? Because Raw is the flagship show, and I feel like Vince McMahon may have his finger off of SmackDown a little bit more than he does Raw.
I don't think the Too Sweet had anything to do with it.
Really? So you think it's just for the tweeting?
Well, I think the tweeting happened after he got squashed by Kane the night after. So I don't know why you go... I mean, I guess logically... the Too Sweet thing would make most sense.
But we also know that stranger things have happened. I mean, there's been times where guys have been buried and like the next week they're world champion. So maybe this is we also don't know Finn. I mean, I don't know Finn Balor personally. I don't know him personally. I don't know how he is backstage. I don't know. Maybe it's a humbling thing. Maybe he just doesn't fit in with the rest of the locker room. It could be a multitude of reasons why this is happening. We don't know the full story.
Right.
What we do know is what the internet tells us, and what the internet is telling us is that and realistically, wrestling might be the only industry where if the internet is saying it, there is truth in that.
I don't know. I think this is a dangerous path to walk down because the internet is also full of tremendous amount of shit.
It's blown out of proportion a lot of times as well.
Let's go back to what I forget who brought it up, but broken Matt Hardy seems to be on his way in.
Awoken Matt Hardy,
but I think he'll be broken.
I think he'll be broken as well.
I mean, because I think one of the things was he wasn't allowed to say delete, and he went super delete.
Are you afraid of it?
Well, I'm concerned about the reaction that he got in Tennessee when he started doing it. But I think, I was talking to Junior about this earlier, and I think people just need to be, there's a lot of people out there who are not familiar with, you know what, let's take away the probably. There are a lot of WWE fans who don't know about Impact and TNA, and will need to be introduced into Broken Matt Hardy, and I think they'll like it.
One thing I love, though, is that he took his loss to Bray Wyatt, and I think that's the perfect feud for Broken Matt Hardy, though. Because you know what? We never got a definitive ending, really, with that Sister Abigail Finn Balor thing. It just kind of was left dangling. So maybe we get this Sister Abigail Broken Matt Hardy thing.
I think Sister Abigail's fine where she is.
You don't want to see Sister Abigail back
over there.
Listen, I think these two can have magic together, and this is, especially with Jeff injured, this is a big time for Matt to shine. Matt is championship material. I think Matt can captivate that audience.
I really enjoy Matt Hardy. I don't see him being Universal or WWE champion.
You don't ever in this run.
I take that same tone to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You think he's gonna? You think? Well,
I'll tell you what. If Bray Wyatt could win the championship last year, going into WrestleMania, absolutely think Matt Hardy can.
I think those are different. I think Matt was going to be used as step-up material for future superstars. And I think the broken thing will help him. And, hey, I'd love it. I'd be happy for Matt. I really like Matt Hardy, and I think he's probably a really cool guy.
If the broken thing can get as over as it had with the hype that he had coming in, then absolutely think he can be a champion. Well, especially if Lesnar is going out and Roman Reigns is going to become champion. And we got to assume that Roman's not going to get the reaction that the WWE is going to want him to get. And I love it. John Cena said it best. Roman, you don't do your job. I have to come here because you can't do your job, right? And let's say he goes heel or whatever. I could easily see. I can at the very least see not necessarily him winning the title, but at least chasing the title.
Well, I can see him chasing it. Sure.
I hope it happens, though. I do. I think he can. If you ask me about Shelton Benjamin, is he going to have a championship run? Probably not. But I think Matt Hardy can. I think Jeff Hardy probably could.
I think Jeff is more likely, even with his 2 strikes.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that I think could have good runs within the next year. I think Samoa Joe's another one. We'll see, though, because I'm iffy on Samoa Joe a little bit, because I feel that I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling Vince has this stigma against guys like Samoa Joe.
I get that. He's a heftier guy, but he can move.
He can move, and he's vicious. He seems like a killer, and I love his gimmick, and he's the right guy for that gimmick.
But I think I was hoping Joe would come to WWE 8 years ago. But then it would have happened. It would have.
I think it helps him more so now, being in the WWE now, because I feel like there's guys that are Granted, we were watching Survivor Series 2 weeks ago, and really taking a step back, all the young guns that we wanted to see, really highlighted in that match, were eliminated. The first guy's gone.
Yep.
So that
it reminded me of. Do you remember the Survivor Series where? I don't know why they don't do this again. I think they should totally do this. Where
the wild card match.
Yeah. Where all the winners of the matches.
Yeah, I remember that.
Got on their own teams, and I don't remember who the bad guys were, but the good guys were Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior,
Tito Santana. I do remember.
And you know what? Tito was a well-respected guy. He was then. He still is. But it was always like, okay, I wonder who's going to lose.
No, well, there was another thing that I really liked that as well, by the way. There was another thing that I like that they did. I think they only did it like maybe 1 or 2 years. It was the wild card match. It was like heels and faces on a team against heels and faces on another team.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was like Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson,
oh, gosh.
Yokozuna, the British Bulldog, and like somebody else against like Scott Hall, Jeff Jarrett.
I'll tell you exactly what I remember this. I remember I was in college. I was living with my buddies Jake and Jeremy, and I was watching an Ahmed Johnson interview after he had just joined the team. It was Shawn's team, and Ahmed Johnson said to Shawn Michaels, "I got your back, G. I got your back." And I was like, "Oh man, this guy's terrible." And my buddy Jeremy was like, "No, Kev, I like that." I think he sounded really good. I was like, "What are you talking about?" But hey, I don't think Jeremy ever bought a T-shirt, but he was sold.
I mean that match seems so fun to me though. Oh, I think Shane Douglas was in that match as well on Scott Hall's team,
yeah.
Or Dean Douglas, I think. But I really liked that match because it was you know what that match accomplished is it was able to tell stories about guys who are having feuds that were on the same team, which I guess essentially is the big Raw versus SmackDown match.
Sure.
But I feel like those minor stories get overshadowed for whatever they're going to build towards.
I am totally on Craig Anderson's page here. Craig says, "I honestly can't take another year of Roman Reigns main eventing WrestleMania. Neither can I, but we're going to get it."
Do you think so?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be him and Lesnar, probably. Thomas Franco says, "Do you think John Cena will win the Intercontinental title and become a Grand Slam champion?" I don't think he will do that.
I don't think so. Well, you never know, though. He did win the United States title.
It's kind of true. But that concept reminds me of when Ric Flair won the Intercontinental title.
Oh, yeah.
It was really weird.
Forgot about that.
In Evolution. Was he in Evolution? Yeah, that was real.
Yeah, it was in Evolution. No, actually, he wasn't in it. Didn't he win it as a face?
I think
like
Carlito.
Carlito.
He beat Carlito, yeah.
That's another guy that I'm surprised isn't back as Carlito.
You know, somehow Carlito was like, "I don't need to put up with your bullshit. I'll go wrestle for my dad in Puerto Rico, and I'll have a good time. I don't need it. You got your politics? I'll wrestle over here."
I would love. I don't know. I really loved Carlito's character. I think that he was one of those guys that was just kind of. You know how Vince is. I mean, we don't know how Vince is. I've never met Vince. But
I met Vince.
Have you?
Yep.
Is he a big, intimidating guy?
He's I was very nervous.
Did you shake his hand?
I did. We were backstage. I think we had actually snuck backstage, but we carried ourselves with good air, with good presence, and we saw Vince. It was the day before the Royal Rumble in 2000 or 98, before the 98 Royal Rumble, and so I saw Vince, and my buddy Rick was with us, and Rick, his girlfriend worked at the pond. This is at the Arrowhead Pond, which is now the Honda Center, and so we were walking around backstage, and Rick was like, "You guys and your wrestling." He was being all cooler than us. He's like, "You guys love your wrestling, yada, yada, yada." And then I saw Vince, and I shook his hand, and I said, "Oh, man, this is so stupid of me. I can't believe I was doing this." So Vince is standing here, and I'm like, started doing this. I'm like, "So the Rumble's tomorrow." And I'm like, "So, got some surprises coming up tomorrow, huh? Some fun stuff coming up tomorrow?" What the fuck was I doing hitting Vince on the side?
What was he saying?
Oh, but he was like, "Absolutely, of course." And so I was like, "Can I get a picture? I'll send you a..."
Did you get a picture with Vince?
Yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
We'll show it up next time. And so I took a picture. And then Rick said, "Yeah, I'll get one too." And this is when I completely sold my friend out. And I said, "This coming from the guy who said he doesn't like wrestling," which is that's just a dick move. You don't do that. And you can see it in Vince's eyes and Rick's picture. He's so mad at me.
Really?
He's so mad at me. But I said that, and Vince said, "Oh, that's all right. That's all right." And then what Rick says is, "What you didn't feel is his handshake, which told me it wasn't all right." It wasn't all right that I said that. Good times. I've listened on future episodes. I've snuck backstage several times.
Well, rumor has it that Raw is here in LA next week, so let's see if we can sneak backstage next week.
I tried once at the Staples Center, and all the stuff that worked in Minneapolis, Minnesota, not so much in the Staples Center.
We'll see if we can get there. But we only have a couple minutes left because Kelly's show's gonna start. But there's a couple things that I do want to do before we go. Kevin, what is grinding your gears now?
Oh, all right then.
Oh, or do you want to do pick a match of the week for the fans to watch? Because we both can pick a match for the fans to watch that we kind of,
Like throughout history?
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about a Starrcade one specifically since we talked so much about Starrcade tonight.
Watch Starrcade 97's main event. Watch that clusterfuck go down.
Okay, that's the same match I was also going to choose, so that works out perfectly. Hulk Hogan against Sting, Hollywood Hogan against Sting. Watch that match. It is quite a cluster.
Okay, now this isn't wrestling related, but I went to the taco store. I'm a big fan of the tacos, right?
Okay.
And I paid for my money, paid for my tacos. And the cashier, they open up, and I see in there's all the money in the world is in there. And my change is 52 cents. She handed me back 5 dimes and 2 pennies. Now I was like, well, this is weird. Who does that? Why didn't she give me 2 quarters? But it doesn't matter. I'm like, all right, I don't want to cause a big deal here. I just move on. And I go to the store. The same fucking thing happens. 5 dimes! Again. I hold back. Because I'm a reasonable guy and I don't want to cause a big deal. And I go to Ralph's grocery store, which is a real place. It's not fake from the Big Lebowski. It's a real store. And I pay my money to the cashier. And the change... Ding, 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 ding. This is a conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen. They're taking our money and giving us fucking dimes. We don't want dimes. We want quarters for our laundry, for our pop machines, for whatever the fuck we want, but not to sit in the change dish while we cash it out at the end of the month. So we're going to find out who's doing this. We're going to go to the corporate headquarters, we're going to knock down the doors, and we're going to kick your stinking teeth in!
That was the fuck the fuck segment here.
Fuck the fuck off with your dimes!
With Kevin, that was what's grinding his gears, dimes this week. So hashtag fuck the fuck dimes. But that's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Kevin, I'm sorry about the dime situation. I'm sure they'll get it rectified.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
2 quarters. 2 quarters would have just solved no problem.
Why?
2 quarters. That is it. Next week, we're going to be bringing you more wrestling news from around the world in wrestling. Today we talked a little bit about New Japan. We talked a little bit about Ring of Honor. Obviously the WWE. But next week, we're also going to be talking about what do we got coming up next week? Well, we got Raw here live in our hometown. Well, my hometown, Los Angeles, California. We're going to we'll see if we can get some stuff from there. We're going to also be talking about Smackdown and more wrestling news from around the world. Also, really, I want to plug Kelly. She is going to be on Twitch in just about 4 minutes. So we hope that you leave this stream to join Kelly over on Twitch at that hashtag show. She's going to be playing, what was the game? Not Titanfall.
Yeah, Titanfall.
Titanfall. She's going to be playing Titanfall. Go check out her playing Titanfall on Twitch, bringing back Achievement Unlocked. Go check that out. Kevin, where can everybody find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter at Kevin Kittredge, KevinKittridge. I also actually have a podcast that we haven't been doing as much. But if you go to allrightpodcast.com, it's me and my buddy Ralph. We talk about pop culture. I talk a little bit about wrestling, but it's a lot of Bond and superheroes and what have you.
And you can find me at that hashtag Joe on all social media. You can also check me out over at screenrant.com. And Kevin, thank you for joining. And guys, thank you so much for watching. And thank you for following along. Please like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with everything trending in geek pop culture. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Those guys.